Morning people, welcome back to F Politics. Today we're going to talk about violence against politicians. Oh, yep, that's the sound of this video getting demonetized. But hey, who needs to eat, right? Now if you remember, the reason why Parliament Speaker Lindsay Hoyle effectively made it so that Labour could avoid voting on a complete and unconditional call for ceasefire was because several Labour MPs would have voted against it. And we're hearing that Keir Starmer told Lindsay Hoyle that would put them in danger.
Because I am very, very concerned about the security of all members. Of the things that have been brought to me are absolutely frightening on all members of this House. And if my mistake is looking after members, I am guilty.
Now before we get into this, let me make my position clear. I am an absolute no to violence or threats of violence in politics. Some of you might know that I have personal reasons to take that position, because this is what happened to me when I tried to prevent our economy and NHS being ruined by Brexit.
You don't represent that. Piece of shit. Go. Scumbag. You are there. You fucking piece of shit.
Alright, lad, thank you very much. Enjoy the match. Enjoy the match. Mate,
You voted leave, except we voted leave. Fucking idiot.
thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hell, I was even forced to agree with Piers goddamn Morgan on this point.
I thoroughly oppose Nigel Farage on pretty much everything, but it won't stop with this. I'd love it if UK politics descended into a massive food fight, probably get a lot more done, but the fact is it won't stay at this. We saw what happened with Stephen Yaxi-Lennon a couple of weeks ago.
Tommy Robinson, in his real name.
It took all of 2 seconds for him to go from getting a milkshake thrown at him to physically punching a guy. It will escalate quickly.
Nigel Farage, I know, has been subjected to just as bad threats, if not worse, than any other politician in the country. I don't think that's right either.
Well, I'm making the point that it is completely unacceptable, and Brendan Cox, the widower of Joe Cox, made the point that if you do this sort of thing, it normalises violence and intimidation.
But I want to talk about Home Secretary James Cleverly's reaction to the pressure that was being put on MPs to call for a ceasefire.
That there has been increased pressure on members of Parliament. There have been people who have been targeted. We should not be changing our procedures in response to threats or intimidation. That would indicate that the threats and the intimidation is working. People should vote with their conscience, not through fear.
You see, right now, the British public is in favour of a ceasefire, so Israel to stop blowing up Gaza, by a ratio of 66 to 13. And James Cleverly, who opposes a call for an immediate and unconditional ceasefire, says that even if MPs face threats, they should hold firm. And also,
my department has written to chief constables setting out the powers that they already have got and that they should use to keep parliamentarians safe, not just in Westminster, but around the whole country.
Okay, so he's saying that MPs should do what's right regardless of the threat they face because our democracy depends on that and that the government will help to neutralise those threats. That sounds brilliant, but it's hypocritical as fuck. Because when the Tories could see that the death threats over Brexit were mainly being directed at the other parties, such that when the MP who took over from Joe Cox after she was murdered a week before the referendum begged for her life in Parliament, telling Boris Johnson, please stop using language that endangers us, we got this.
With many of us in this place subject to death threats and abuse every single day. And let me tell the Prime Minister that they often quote his words: surrender act, betrayal, traitor.
I have to say, Mr. Speaker, I've never heard such humbug in all my life.
Please, will he, going forward, moderate his language so that we will all feel secure when we're going about our jobs?
And the best way to ensure that every parliamentarian is properly safe and we dial down the current anxiety in this country is to get Brexit done.
So the Tory position was literally, we know you're getting death threats, we're going to keep using language that incites those death threats, and if you don't want to get killed, you better do what we say. But now that the pressure is being put on the Tories, the position is no, but we're standing for integrity in politics now, and we're going to set the police on you. So the Tory attitude to violence in politics depends entirely on the politics of that violence. And as somebody who regularly received those death threats because of their politics, such that my number was on a special list with the Metropolitan Police so that if I called the police, it would have been automatic blue flashing lights, I found that to be particularly tickling. And again, to be clear, violence and threats of violence have no place in politics. But people don't want to be violent, so we have to look at where that aggression is coming from. And the Israeli government have killed 30,000 people in Gaza. The Tories have been supporting them, both politically, militarily, and by selling them weapons to do that. So people should be angry at them, and for aiding and abetting genocide, some of these politicians should be in jail, but from a practical standpoint, violence or threats of violence is only going to land you in jail. And from a societal standpoint, as I explained to Piers Morgan, if you open that door and let violence into your politics just a little bit, it's going to blow those doors open and invade every inch of your house. I'm Femi. Make sure you follow F Politics so politics doesn't F you. Have a great week.